Hello, welcome to What Comes Next. I'm Gemma Munro and I'm just so delighted to be here with you and so delighted that you're here with me. And if I may say it, I am non-condescendingly proud of you for being here, because the biggest regret I see as I speak and teach around the world is that people have spent their lives being busy and haven't taken the time to work out who it is, what they want, what they're here to do. And there's actually no judgment there, because that's kind of what the world tells us to do. Just keep calm and keep going. And also I know that because the world is so busy, it's really tempting to keep going, because we're kind of scared that if we stop, then the shit's going to hit the fan and we're going to have to completely overhaul our lives. And as you'll find out in this program, we're also wired to look after our own security. So we have this fear that we're going to end up feeding our kids cat food on the streets. We go to catastrophizing. So what you have done is, despite that fear and despite these messages of the world telling you to keep on going, you're taking time to not just take the next commonsensical step or the step that others think is the right step for you. You're taking the time to work out, what do you want? What's going to light you up? What are you here to do in service of making the world a better place, even if it's in a very small way? So I'm just so thrilled that we can do this work together. In this video, I'm going to be talking you through what comes next in week 1. But before I do that, I want to spend some time on some suggested guidelines for how you approach this next 6 weeks. You can ignore them. It's totally up to you. But I've really had to think about what's going to make a difference for you in getting the most out of this program. 5 suggested guidelines. Number 1 is to leave narrow-mindedness, admonishments, doubts, fear as much as possible, and disbelief at the door. And I'd almost love you to approach the next 6 weeks as if you're going to see a movie. So just say you're going to watch something like Lord of the Rings. You take a seat in the theatre with anticipation. You get excited. You don't then, when a hobbit comes on the screen, go, hang on a minute. What do you mean there's a 2 to 3 to 4 foot person with hairy feet? This is bullshit. You are open to being surprised. You are open to learning new things. You're open to going where the movie asks you to go. And at the end of the 6 weeks, if you want to pick up your doubts and pick up your disbelief and pick up your admonishments, all those things, that's fine. But just if you can park them at the door for the next 6 weeks, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how open you are. And when we are more open, we learn more quickly, and we also have more intuitions. And this program is about helping you tap into your intuition, so you don't just think this is the next right step, you know this is the next right step for you. Guideline number 2 is to create time and space and, wherever possible, solitude for yourself when you do these exercises. And taking that tip to the next level, you might even want to create a bit of a sacred space for yourself in your home, in your garden, a little nest. You know, some people have an altar with some crystals. I don't mind if it's a cushion on a floor. Either way, this isn't really the sort of program that's designed to pop it in your ears while you're between meetings. It's the sort of program where you're going to get so much more out of it if you create that sacred container of space and time. And like I said, ideally solitude for yourself. I know it's not always possible, but where you can, do so. Guideline number 3 is to trust your hut. If you haven't heard of Your Hut, I completely stole it from Alexandra Franzen. She's an awesome writer. You should follow her if you don't already. And she talks about the hut being this combination of your heart and your gut. We have been taught to trust our minds. In this program, I want you to actually start to tune into your heart and your gut to make decisions. If you can make decisions relatively quickly as opposed to mulling them over, that's actually going to serve you well in this program. Guideline number 4 is, again, and this isn't always possible, and I get it, but where possible, try to take, even if it's 5 seconds, to ground yourself before each element of the program. So if you're about to listen to a video or an audio meditation, instead of rushing from one thing and then hopping to this exercise, just take 3 deep breaths and feel the seat under your bum or the ground under your feet, and sink into yourself, tune into yourself, and then go. Literally 5 seconds. That grounding process will be incredibly helpful. Final guideline, and this might be a bit uncomfortable for some of you, I really invite you to allow moments of confusion. Maybe not just moments, maybe days, maybe a week or 2 of confusion. This isn't a normal goal-setting program where you are given mind-centric ways of being certain about what comes next. What we're doing is unearthing parts of you that you might never have seen. And I know I've been running programs and leadership programs and self-development programs for years. I know from experience that when you are unearthing things, it's like cleaning a goldfish bowl, which I have to say I've never done in my life, but I hear what happens is you clean it and you think you've cleaned it, but actually what you've done is you've lifted the sediment right up to the surface, and it looks dirtier than it had been before you started the cleaning process. If you just allow that sediment to settle, things become crystal clear. But what happens is when we unearth things and we feel that sediment and that lack of clarity, we start to push for outcomes and push for decisions, but we end up making the wrong decisions or moving towards the wrong outcomes out of a sense of urgency and fear. If you have moments where you're not sure, I've got so many journal prompts that you're going to be going through in these 6 weeks, you might go, I don't know yet. And that's okay. You might decide you're sure about something, and then for a couple of days, you start to feel uncertain. That's okay too. I've always found, and it's really hard to trust this, but I've always found that confusion and a lack of certainty is here for a reason. Allow it to be. Just settle into not knowing all the time, and the sediment will settle, I promise. As for what's coming up in week 1, it's relatively light, and that's on purpose, because even though you're not going to be spending a huge amount of time on these exercises, there will be a lot coming up to the surface for you. You might start to get ideas, intuitions, little tiny pictures of what might be coming next. You will not be clear. It's not designed that you are clear by the end of this week. We're starting to plant little seeds. So week 1 starts after this intro video, of course. It starts with an audio meditation on visualizing your ideal future. I will guide you through that. And before that, there's an important but very short audio introduction to that meditation. So make sure you listen to the intro first. There will then be a video on getting into a dreaming brain state. I just want to get into it now because I get so excited by this, because we are given the exact wrong instructions when it comes to visualizing the future. And yeah, you can see I'm tempted to go into it now. I will wait, but the video will guide you into a dreaming brain state. And then in your journal, you start to get even just a very, very fuzzy picture. There are some journal prompts that will lead you to developing a very fuzzy, unclear, but exciting sense of what might come next for you. Hope you enjoy week 1. See you in the audio meditation.